Welcome to the Paper Trails and Rabbit Holes podcast. I mean, imagine firing a $28 million golden arrow just to shoot down a $30,000 wooden toy.
Right. And now imagine having to do that thousands of times until you're completely broke.
Exactly. Today, we are diving deep into the 2026 Iran war. We're talking about Operation Epic Fury and Operation Roaring Lion, and the big debate today is really simple. Did the U.S. and Israel score a massive, undeniable victory by destroying Iran's leadership and military?
To a massive trap, an unwinnable war of attrition that is just draining the West of its money and patience.
I'm arguing that the U.S. and Israel absolutely won. They functionally decapitated the regime in the first few days. The brain is gone, the military is crushed, and they took full control.
And I'm arguing that Iran is the one actually in control here. They're using a really calculated strategy to bankrupt the U.S., both financially and politically.
Well, let's just start with the decapitation, because it was staggering. I mean, in just 12 hours, the coalition dropped 900 precision strikes. 900.
Yeah, it was a massive barrage, sure.
It wasn't just a barrage, though. They wiped out the entire Central Command structure. Look at how they got Supreme Leader Khamenei at the Pasture Street compound. Unit 8200, the Israeli intelligence group, they hacked into Tehran's actual city traffic cameras.
Right, the algorithmic tracking.
Exactly. They tracked his specific convoy through the city in real time. They completely cut off the head of the snake. The brain is literally gone.
Okay, the hacking of the traffic cameras is a cool spy story, I'll give you that. But saying they cut off the head of the snake shows a total misunderstanding of how Iran's system works.
How so? The supreme leader was eliminated.
But the system is a hydra. You cut off one head and another is already there. The decapitation totally failed because Iran had an interim council take over in a matter of hours. By March 9th, Mosaic Khamenei was officially named the new supreme leader.
But
wait, let me just finish this point. The state machinery never stopped running. So the U.S. blew up a building, but Iran's real weapon is the math. They are winning the oil war.
I mean, they lost their supreme leader and their top generals. That is not a victory for them.
But look at the oil. Iran essentially closed the Strait of Hormuz. They choked the global oil supply, and crude oil shot up to $120 a barrel.
Well, energy prices spike in any war. You know that.
Not like this. That $120 oil creates a ticking clock for the U.S. elections. It causes massive inflation. Washington is going to be forced to choose between fighting a super expensive war or saving their own economy.
Okay, but you are assuming Iran actually has the money to keep fighting. They don't. The IRGC is going totally broke.
Because of the strikes?
Yes, and specifically because the U.S. sank the Ghost Fleet. Those secret oil tankers were Iran's piggy bank. The coalition sank over 30 of them. Ship traffic in the Strait of Hormuz dropped from 24 shadow vessels down to just 3 this week.
Okay, but losing ships doesn't mean...
It means they have no money coming in. You can't run a war when your wallet is at the bottom of the ocean. And it's not just the tankers. Let's talk about the Soleimani-class warships.
The catamarans.
Right, the VLS guided missile catamarans. They were the absolute pride of the IRGC Navy. And the U.S. completely wiped out the entire class, just erased them from the board.
Look, nobody is denying that the U.S. has bigger, flashier bombs. But sinking ships totally misses the point of the interceptor crisis. This is the whole golden bullet math I was talking about.
The drone intercepts?
Yes. It is a complete disaster for the U.S. Iran is launching these Shahed drones, right? They are basically flying lawnmowers that cost $35,000 to build.
Right, they are cheap.
Super cheap. But to shoot them down, the U.S. has to fire an SM-3 interceptor missile that costs $28 million, or a THAAD missile that costs $15 million. It is literally shooting flies with golden bullets.
Well, they have to defend their assets, obviously.
But the math doesn't work. The first week of Operation Epic Fury cost the United States $11.3 billion. That is a burn rate of nearly $1.9 billion a day. Iran is bleeding them dry.
Okay, but you're acting like the U.S. didn't see that coming. They flipped the script on the drones. Have you looked at the Lucas drones the U.S. brought in?
The swarm ones?
Yeah. These cost just $30,000 each. The U.S. used these massive, cheap drone swarms to totally bankrupt Iran's air defenses. They used Iran's own cheap math against them.
That's a drop in the bucket compared to the 12-year replacement gap.
The what?
The replacement gap for the U.S. missiles. Because they had to shoot down so many cheap drones, the U.S. burned through 50% of its entire THAAD missile stockpile in just 12 days.
Half their stockpile?
Half of it. Gone in under 2 weeks. And here is the crazy part. At the current rate American factories build them, it will take 12 years just to replace what they shot off in 12 days. Iran doesn't need to sink the U.S. Navy. They just need to wait for them to run out of bullets.
But wait, Iran can't keep shooting those drones forever because the U.S. literally sealed them underground.
What do you mean sealed them?
The Mosaic bottling. You know Iran hides its missiles in those huge caves in the mountains, right?
Right, the Zagros Mountains.
Yeah. Well, instead of just trying to blow up the caves, U.S. bombers dropped 2,000-pound bunker busters right on the cave entrances.
Oh, to cause a cave-in.
Exactly. They literally brought the mountain down on the blast doors. They bottled up the weapons. So it doesn't matter if Iran's drones are cheap because they are stuck under millions of tons of solid rock.
Okay, collapsing the caves is a smart trick, I admit. But it doesn't matter because Iran's military isn't one big army that needs those specific caves.
What do you mean? They absolutely need their weapons.
But the IRGC operates on the Mosaic Defense. They are 31 separate semi-autonomous commands. Each region has its own local weapons, its own leaders, its own supplies.
But without the central command?
They don't need central command. That's the whole point. You can't kill the brain and expect the limbs to stop fighting, because each limb acts like its own brain. It's a starfish, not a snake.
Okay, even if the limbs are still twitching, they are getting blinded. Look at Iran's ring of fire strategy. You say they are striking everywhere, but they are losing the tech war badly.
Losing? On March 7th and 8th, Iran hit the very eyes and ears of the U.S. military.
You talking about the regional bases?
Yes. They successfully damaged the radar domes at the RFJAN base in Kuwait, and they hit the early warning systems at Al Udeid in Qatar. And they unleashed Hezbollah to stretch Israel's defenses to the breaking point. They internationalized the war.
They only did that because they are terrified of what is happening inside their own country.
You think internal politics matter right now?
It's not politics, it's a full-on revolution at home. The regime is collapsing from the inside. Literally hours after the first strikes, U.S. cyber teams blacked out the country.
The internet outage?
Yeah. They plunged Iranian internet traffic from 100% down to just 4%. They completely blinded the regime. And then, the U.S. specifically targeted the Basij and the LEC, their riot police and domestic security forces.
So they caused some riots?
Not just riots. Without the internet and without their riot police, the regime couldn't stop the crowds. People are safely organizing. They are toppling statues of the leaders. Iran is rotting from the inside out while trying to fight a superpower.
Look, protests are a headache, sure, but they don't stop the international mass. The U.S. is caught in a classic Vietnam-style trap here.
Vietnam? That's quite the stretch.
Is it? The U.S. has all the fireworks. They can drop bunker busters on caves, they can sink catamarans, they can hack traffic cameras, but Iran has the patience.
Patience doesn't win wars when your infrastructure is dust. Look at the Fordo nuclear site.
You think Fordo changes the economic trap?
It changes everything. It proves the U.S. can reach anything. The B-2 bombers dropped 12 of those massive GBU-57 bunker busters on Fordo.
Which was buried deep under a mountain.
Right, but the U.S. used overpressure as the kill mechanism. The bombs didn't just explode normally. They traveled down the ventilation shafts at 1,000 feet per second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the shockwave is so intense that it literally crushes the nuclear centrifuges and all the hardware into dust. The facility is gone. The brain of the military is gone. The modern Navy is gone. How is that a trap? The threat is neutralized.
It's a trap because while the U.S. is patting itself on the back for blowing up a bunker, they are spending $1.9 billion a day doing it. They're out of that missiles. Oil is at $120.
But the physical threat of Iran is dismantled.
But the economic threat is destroying the West. Iran doesn't need to have a shiny navy to win. They just need the American voters to get so tired of inflation and empty armories that they force Washington to give up. It's asymmetric warfare at its finest.
Well, I mean, if there is one thing we can clearly agree on here, it's that the old Middle East is gone. The rules of war have completely changed.
Oh, absolutely. The idea that a big superpower can just roll in with expensive jets and win without totally bankrupting themselves, that illusion is dead.
Yeah, it really makes you rethink what winning even looks like today. Is it blowing up the enemy's nuclear sites and leadership? Or is it, just having factories that can print enough cheap drones to outlast the other guy's expensive missiles?
Exactly. It's a terrifying new math.
It really is. The paper trail doesn't have to end here, but the descent is just beginning. Find us at PaperTrails&RabbitHoles on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you hunt for the truth. Keep your eyes open. We'll see you at the bottom.